Hello, Overwatch fans. It is I, Eden Ocean, joined by the handsome and intelligent man of class, bringing you some more Overwatch in the form of the Solstice Esports. Solstice Showdown. We got an exciting match going on right now. It's going to be seat number 4, Purple, up against seat number 5, Hour Zero. Man of class, tell me a little bit about this matchup.
Well, it's the first quarterfinals that we're going to see. That's of course the first exciting thing that we're gonna talk about. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring you Region versus Cloak tonight because Cloak has decided to withdraw themselves from the tournament. That happens sometimes, you know. You can't always get the best matches. You can always finish all your games, and things can happen. I don't exactly know the reason, but all we know is that Region is already progressed again to the semifinal, and these two are going to be fighting it out to see who exactly gets to face them in that semifinal. Region, of course, the first seed, the big boy boss on the end of the road of that semifinals, but they first got to get through each other if they want to get there. And Purple has been doing pretty well of late. They got quite far in the third Impact qualifiers, which of course had more of a global talent pool of tier 2 and some tier 3 tournaments. Garms, Greg, Glistune, I don't even know how to pronounce it anymore at this point. Vega and Alexio, they are a squad to be reckoned with. And honestly, I am pretty scared for Hour Zero here, who do already have quite a status themselves. They have quite a nice roster, but you know, just having a nice roster is not always the right answer.
Yeah, a very powerful roster. I myself have a personal relationship with Alexio. He used to be on a team that I was involved with, and he's a very, very powerful player on that support line. Very good with Yana, very comfortable. We've seen him get lots of great sleeps over his career. The Genji player with a little bit of an interesting name. We've been told the pronunciation is H key. So that's what we're going to be going with. Looking at this purple roster, incredible stuff. These hero icons may not be necessarily representative of the roles they are going to be playing. We're definitely going to have to see what they're going to bring out. We've seen a lot of different compositions already so far in the Solstice Showdown. Lots of double shield, a little bit of dive we saw in the last broadcast with the Wrecking Ball Winston as well. So we're going to have to see what purple brings to the table here.
Yeah, a lot of it will have to do with what maps they will go to, of course, as well. But Hour Zero coming at you with Train Cloud and Beckenbauer in the tank line, Viral and Sinoid on the DPS, and Jam and Cupcake on the support. Of course, Sinoid, the Norwegian flex DPS, coming in here, trying to get some NA clout, trying to get some NA experience here. And so far, I think it's working out. I've seen a lot of happy faces around Hour Zero. Dark Mode's a different team. But yeah, so far they're pretty confident in themselves, and I think they have a right to be. They have a good roster, stacked roster as well. Cupcake, no female player, always nice to see that being represented. And yeah, honestly, I'm cool whenever. I would actually like to see some Roadhog coming out from Beckenbauer because that would be a blessing in disguise, honestly.
Yeah, we don't get to see too much Roadhog right now. He's kind of in an awkward place, but definitely an awesome team to work with. I love how the graphic for Winston there, his lower half of his face is hidden. It kind of makes him look like a shark or getting ready to pounce on his prey as he does in the game. But we're going to be starting off on Koth, King of the Hill. This is a great way to start off these series because there's no pure attack and no pure defense. It's all going to be about the fundamentals here on Lijiang Tower.
And Legion Tower, of course, one of the most fundamental basic maps in Overwatch. It's one that will often be selected if teams are getting to select a control map, Legion Tower. Mostly of the table, I think these days it's between Legion Tower and Busan that the teams will almost default to. And I would really like to see what these teams are going to do on it. There's potential for environmental kills. You can maybe see some Echo come out, especially in those open areas on the Garden. And to be honest, also on what's it called? Night Market. There we go. Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna start on Control Center here in the near future. And Control Center, of course, more suited towards those more brawly comps. Maybe we see some, double shield come out. So Sigma Reinhardt is very possible, but I would not be opposed to maybe seeing some Junkrat, Reaper May. It's all up in the air, and the meta has been shifting so much lately that we don't really know what we can expect at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see so much. This is one of the few maps where it's a little bit harder to run dive, a little more close quarters. So the spam damage heroes do great. The Hanzos, the Junkrats, the Pharas as well. We see a lot of Symmetra coming into the fray, lately getting people to point first, wanting to play that more defensive style. And just as I said, you can see Zeus is on the Symmetra right now. Will he swap immediately off after teleporting his team? We'll have to find out. But this is going to be the real matchup we're paying attention to, is the two Mei players. Whoever can get the better Mei wall and isolate those tanks, that's how this fight's going to go.
And there we see the Junkrat as well from the Finno.
Yeah, as they make their way onto the high ground here, it looks like Purple was the first one. They got there faster with the teleport, as we suspected. We're watching on board with Zeus here as he tries to find an opening, looks and sees the Lucio jam, trying to escape away as Immortality Field is going to be forced really early from Cupcake. This could be a harm or hazard for the side of their team. You see that they're trying to push in. Alexio will find the first pick onto Train Cloud. HK gets another one with the ball rolling here. Purple is going to be having the first progress.
Yeah, and with that Moira and that Lucio to double AoE heal, it's going to be so hard to really stave off that aggression from the side of Purple. Yes, they have a Junkrat, they had an Immortality Field, but as you pointed out, Zeus did a great job with just forcing that Immortality Field out early. And now they're going to have to push back in here. Of course, the window will be close to ready from Cupcake. Sinoid is ready with a Blizzard almost, but there will be some on the other side to worry about, especially that Shatter and Coalescence.
We saw the Maywall from HK used early here, so this is going to be an opening for the side of Hour Zero to make their way through. Alexio with the early Coalescence pops it, is able to save Garms on the Reinhardt, and with that is going to find pick on Train Cloud as well. Another fight going cleanly for the side of Purple, low investments as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it's always a good thing if you can have those decisive fights on Lijiang Control Center. This choke here, where they're holding right now, is so good for them to have control over. It's so hard to push through that, especially with this double barrier May composition.
Ooh. Yeah, we see the Riptire coming out now as they make their way through. Will be able to find Garms. You see the Mortality Field has been forced. Blizzard is coming out well from Sinoid, but HK hasn't quite built his up yet despite having the advantage. Wolfall, Zeus goes for the Pirouette. Death Blossom just going to find both supports in doing so. They have to make their way onto the point, 55% and counting. We can see that Vega on the Lucio is still patrolling around the outside, hoping to contest for his team, keep them in it and let them have the chance to come back. We're watching Train Cloud now. He has the Shatter online if he's going to be able to find an opening. Here's the Supercharger coming out though from Greg and Megapower. Big Shatter is going to find the Risa player, looks for the pin, is going to be pinned down by the enemy Reinhardt as well. Nice plays by him, but Garms will be the first to fall as the beat comes through from the side Hour Zero.
Yeah, very well done. Hour Zero is gonna probably clean this up, and as I say that, Vega and Alexio are just gonna come back here with some picks here, and there's still some blue on the point actually. Quite a few members alive. It looks like Hour Zero will eventually get this, but that's a stall that goes out all the way to like last fight territory. No chance for Hour Zero to make any mistakes, and they're still not in control here.
Yeah, we're watching. Look at Vega on the Lucio. It hasn't died this entire time. The movement is clearly, mastered on the hero, able to stay alive all the way to 99%. There was a good portion of that fight where Vega was the only one for Purple's team. And look at this. He used the beat earlier in that last fight, and he's already 80% to his next one.
Definitely doing a bit of a faster job than Jam in that respect, but now they have to be worried about that tire. Don't think they're gonna have that beat up in time. There will at least be one fight that should be relatively free to win. There's nothing that can really stop that tire from getting value other than some barriers.
It's a good Maywall, though, is going to isolate the supports. We watch Garms fall as well, as Greg is going to get desperately low. Will eventually fall to the hand of Viral as well. He's been doing amazing on the Junkrat. We talked a bit about how strong Junkrat is on this map type, and you're seeing that into fruition right now.
I've seen Junkrat come back in the meta, and I really like that. The whole point of Junkrat is, of course, to cause as much chaos with those grenades as possible. It does a lot of damage. You can't just walk headfirst into it, because then at some point you will just lose the shield battle if you're running double shields on both sides. And then what are you going to do? Try and dodge them?
And we're watching from Alexio's perspective here. Everyone on his team is getting really low. Of course, he's got very good patience. He doesn't want to pop that Coalescence until his team absolutely needs it. And it's Purple, they're in the driver's seat. They can save all the ultimates, and they only have to win one fight here, Mana Class.
Yeah, they're gonna go in for that last fight, though. I mean, it's getting close there. They can't really. They can either have a quick one or one long one, and that is HK already down. That's not what you wanted to see if you're Purple. Garms just
great Maywall though from Sinoid. It cut off the tanks from the Coalescence.
They get Train Cloud, so if they get a quick reset, there won't be as aggressive of a hold possible from Hour Zero, and that could be huge on a map like this. If you have a more free entry, it's going to be dangerous. It does sound like Train Cloud is back already, so it won't be as easy to get in, but they'd still hold quite far backward, just on the point.
from a one-sided fight has quickly become a 99 to 99. Beats coming out tired from Viral watching on the high ground. But while this is happening, Zeus has found a nice little piece of his own. Tires is going to find Garms, but the picks are going the way of Purple right now as H-Key on the Doomfist returns, finds a nice two-piece as well. And the ultimate somehow gone in the favor here of Purple despite the defensive advantage. Train Cloud wasn't able to land that shatter as Bacon switches onto the Wrecking Ball, but they can't get back in time. Zeus finding the last few picks there, and Purple will take the first map here in this series.
Yeah, and as powerful as Junkrat Ultimate can be, the fact that Vyra only gets one pick with both of those tires is a bit lacking. You kind of want to see at least a double kill, maybe even a triple kill, and that's possible with the tire. It's not that I mean, let's say not that hard of an ultimate to use. It's quite a hard ultimate to get the value with, but we are talking about a relatively high level of play here. So it's all about that trade-off. And do you run a Junkrat for the natural kills, or for natural spam, or do you also account for that ultimate to get some more value? And I do think that they needed a little bit more of either just the kill damage, or the tire kills. Symmetra's on both sides here. Let's see if it's just walkouts or they're actually going to set up on point with it, because I have seen teams do that.
Yeah, we're seeing the dive from both sides now as they make their way across the point. Lexio, we see him on the bridge. He needs to be able to set up if he's going to be able to support his team. We're watching with HK here on the Echo as he gets the enemy Winston Bacon really low as they try and rotate around into this Dojo side of the point. We're waiting for both teams here. Someone has to make the first move and get this play go, and then we're going to see the Winston bubble force. HK is just wrecking havoc in the sky. Not really seeing so much value from Viral's side, only 24% on that ult versus the 50, but as they try and aggress with the dive, they aren't able to break through, and Garms is going to be the first to fall. He's going right into the hand of Jams Brigida.
With the D.Va going down as well, this will be a very quick cleanup, it seems. Purple did catch the point, so they can potentially stall it for a little bit longer. It does look like they want to retreat. No, they're not going to be able to touch, and now the stall comes in, and with this dive, they're going to have a lot of mobility to get back to the point.
Here's a nice stick throw from Zeus. Is going to find Cupcake. She's going to be out of the fight now as a progress. It looks like it's almost going to be going to the way of Hour Zero, but of course, Purple still has their hand in this as we see Zeus doing amazing on the Tracer. Keep Bomb is going to be forced out, though, as we want Train Cloud deep mech'd. But look at this. Look how close their progress is. They just need to get these last few members off the point. As HG is going to duplicate onto the Winston, trying to build up that Primal Rage. Is he going to be able to do it in his time bank allotted as we see the tanks from the side trying to back out? Here's the Primal Rage now looking to get into the back. Of course, doesn't want to be shut down by Cupcake's Sleep Dart. Is able to get her off the map.
Yeah, fortunately, and they did such a good job of stalling and then also got the kills. It's such a dangerous proposition here that when you're Purple, you can just walk back on a point, stall it out for like 2 seconds, and then everyone just comes back in. Then Garms comes in, and Greg comes in. It's, yeah, Hour Zero's target focus just didn't quite seem to be there. They kind of got lost in the fact that they thought they already won the fight, I feel like.
And this is a smart play. You're going to see the side of Purple. They're aggressing early while they're still rotating. They want to cut them off and not even give them the opportunity to play this play. But it's a big sleep, though, from Cupcake. But unfortunately, it's going to be woken up. They can't really work off of that just now as we watch them slowly try to rotate onto the point, but they keep getting cut off in their rotation. Here is the duplicate. They got double Tracer on from Hour Zero as Garms looks for the Primal, tries to find someone off the map. Isn't successful on the beginning. Pulse Bombs come out already. He's going to get him desperately low as he tries to keep this fight alive. 84% and counting now. Purple only has to get these last few players, and with a nice sticky bomb on Cupcake, she's down. All the healing now gone from the side of Hour Zero. It's not looking too good for them, class.
No, it definitely is not. And with 95%, can they even touch? I think they hoping Sinoid could. Now the ball comes in at high speed, gets shield bashed and whip shot off the map, and that's Purple with 100-0 on the second point. The first one was a bit more contested, but this one seemed dominantly in their favor, and Purple goes up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, it's the number 4 seat against the number 5 seat, so we're expecting a close game. Was it that Hour Zero was performing well throughout the entirety and Purple maybe made mistakes first match, fixed it for the next, or maybe it just has to do with their comfortability on the dive composition we watched here with Zeus as he gets those last few final blows there on Control Center. But that's not to say that we don't have a match in store, because although Purple seem to have the fundamentals down, which we usually pull out with these King of the Hill maps, where the coaching and the pre-planning and the set strategies are really able to shine are in these attack/defense type maps, when the hybrids in the 2CP, that's where the practice, and it's not all about who's got the better aim, who's got the better communication. Sometimes it comes down to who's done more practice. So I'm going to see maybe a different sort of flavor as we move on to these other map types.
Yeah, and usually the higher seed gets to pick the map as well, so it would make sense that purple is doing a slightly bit better because I do believe they are the fourth seed in this case. And yeah, then if you're then comfortable on 2 out of 3 maps, that's all you really need to win. They got Control Center first, then they won Garden. And when we're going into the next map here, it's very likely that our Zero has got something prepared for the map they're going to go to. It's going to be Escort next, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be the map choice. We've seen a lot of Rialto lately. It's a very common choice. And I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Rialto. You can play more of that double barrier than the dive is really gonna get value off, especially in the beginning. Later on, and especially in the second point, get way more space to potentially do that. And then the third point, you might kind of have to swap back to something more like Reinhardt Sigma or Arista Sigma based. But yeah, we'll definitely see what they're going to pick for. Right now, we are waiting for the map choice. So, talk a little bit more about what we actually saw happen in the last map. And do we think that it is going to be the Flex DPS matchup that we really have to look forward to? Because we did see the Junkrat versus the Reaper, then we saw the Echo versus the Echo. We saw the Maze come out on one of the points of Tracers. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I saw the Tracers in the Maze really one do that much better than the other. Some walls were a bit cheekier. The pole spawn worked out a little bit better from one side than the other. But I do really think that this H key matchup in the Echo department, and then but yeah, before what they did with the May themselves, like they really seem to have their counterpart a bit pinned down.
Yeah, yeah, talking a bit about the Echo matchup when we were watching that first fight break out, both dive tanks, both teams really, they didn't want to be the one to make the first move. They both knew they were operating with a Brigida, so they were hoping to play more of a counter dive style, hoping that they would take the bait, dive their backline core, be able to land a nice shield bash and dissolve the team from there. And that's what we saw happening in the beginning. We actually saw that I believe it was Purple team Garms, the Winston player. He was actually the first to go down in one of those early fights, but the team they still were able to recover despite losing their Winston to the shield bash. But what really made the difference, and we were respecting along with HKey on the Echo, is he was just building his ult chart so much faster than Viral was. Echo, of course, their newest hero to the Overwatch cast roster. So it's definitely in a position where a lot of people haven't been able to get a master of the hero just yet if they haven't been putting the hours in specifically on her. Maybe they only plan on playing Echo in a few different maps, so Viral hasn't had quite the edge, or maybe it was just a matter of communication. But right now, I'm very impressed with what HK's brought to the table and showing his flexibility. On the first map on Control Center, we saw him swap a few different times there. He was playing the Reaper. He had to quickly swap onto the Doomfist to get there to the last fight and was able to find value on the kind of desperation swap, getting 2 picks on the tail end, helping his team push the victory. So I would keep an eye on this HK character because it seems to really have this game on lock. His team is really building around his good flexible hero pool.
Yeah, and of course we are going to go to Gibraltar next. It has been the pick coming out from our Zero. Looks like it will still be dive. I think dive is definitely the answer nowadays here. You used to be able to still run with the double shield and just more brawly, heavier compositions on this map, but with the power that dive has been getting, especially with things like Echo and just some Diva and Winston changes that have been coming along. Even the Genji buff might even come into play on this one. I am not at all unhappy to see Gibraltar. I definitely think that we're going to see more of that dive that we saw, but that always brings to the question. They just kind of lost playing dive versus dive. What's going to change here? And that probably has to do with what they're going to have lined up hero wise. I don't think that if they just match up the same hero, so Tracer, Echo, Winston, Diva, and then I think it was Lucio Ana or Lucio Brig actually, whether that's really going to change a lot. So I'm expecting to see something like a Widowmaker potentially, maybe a Genji come out, maybe some different heroes as well. If you're going to play the Genji, you kind of have to play the Ana because the Nanoblade is just so important to have, or at least the fake that you have it. And yeah, when we're looking at in the game, the stream can't see it just yet. I do see Widowmakers on both sides. I do see Genjis on both sides. And probably it's just going to be dive with the Ana and the Brigitte. And I look forward to that. I think that's really fun. I don't think we have seen Gibraltar being played as much in this style as we're going to be in the current time. I think this is really Gibraltar's time to get back into the dive of things.
Yeah, absolutely. The Nano Blade has never been stronger, especially with the armor packs from Brig. You're able to spam the armor packs onto your Genji, get that armor continuously regenerating with the Nano. It's a nice pick there from Sonoid onto H-Key. But with the armor packs and the Nano, it's kind of like being Nanoed twice. It makes your Genji player absolutely unstoppable. So unless you're going to land that clutch sleep, the shield bash, or maybe able to focus them down. These nano blades are working. It's going to dictate this entire series here. Who can build them up faster? It's be HK and Alexio, the duo versus Cupcake and Viral. We're going to see the side of Our Zero. They're on the offense here, trying to punish as we watch Vega there. He is forced away.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing them jump in hard. It was a good first headshot from Sonoid. The Widowmakers are going even. It's actually HK that's trying to pull ahead against Viral a little bit on that Genji, and it's looking like that ult charge is doubling up.
Yeah, we're watching here with Bacon. He's on the high ground. They're trying to secure this high ground, usually called tarp or blue blocks, based on that little structure there. And this high ground is just so important because it's going to keep the pressure on the opposite defender's high ground. And you're able to rotate with these dive heroes from the high ground to the floor, not having to use your cooldowns to fall down, of course, with gravity, and you can reset. So whoever can win this matchup is going to be the one pushing or holding the point. That's why it's so important. We're watching HK. He's desperately close to the blade. He's got it now. Nano Boost comes in, is able to pull it out, and is looking for the slashes now. Is going to be able to find Cupcake. She's down, trying to find another, but the ante is good. Train Cloud finds the final blow as Bacon Bauer with the Primal Rage has gone into the back line. There's Infrasight from Sonoid coming back to respond, trying to assist his team. But right now, this could go either way. Alexio finds a nice finishing blow onto Bacon, though.
Sonoid doesn't quite get either the head of the Ana or the head of the Diva here. So we'll eventually get the Ana in Alexio, but it's still in a bit of trouble because Greg actually got the mech back and it's now coming back into this. The Nano Blade is out.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a lackluster one. Wasn't able to quite find the targets there. He's finally made his way onto Zeus on the high ground, is able to take him out. That's a good option there. That's exactly what the kind of thing they need to be doing. As we look at that, we watch Viral trying to build up his next one. They will be able to take the first cap. And an all-right defense, but it was definitely very sloppy from both of these sides to start off. Both these teams trying to get their footing here with the dive to protect these Widowmakers.
Yeah, you do really see that dive. It used to be such a simple thing. You just dive for the Zenyatta, and then, you know, you kill their Zenyatta before yours dies, and you just go back in. And dive has evolved so much beyond that now. It's so much harder to protect that backline. You do see them just try and chase down this Genji. You can't go too deep, but H can get the kill on the Cupcake. They're going to try and get a little bit more, but actually their own health bars are getting low. They lose Garms here. And how are you going to actually recover from this fight? HK gets one more. Sonoid trades it back. And this is just a back and forth. Such a scrappy dive fight here.
Yeah, this is an awkward place to have a fight, and this entire time for the attackers, they're not really going to be too happy with this because the payload's been moving backwards this entire time. Nice little sleep there by Alexio on the tail end. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough to save him this time around, as Bacon did a good job keeping the pressure on there. Didn't lose his life, didn't have to use his Primal Rage either. There's a bubble to stop Greg's Diva Bomb as well, as the payload will finally get rolling again, but for the side of Purple, they really need to dig their heels into the dirt and make a stop. Nano Blade is going to be online. We're going to be watching with HK to see what he's going to be able to pull out.
It does look like HK is going to be ready for that one. Dice in the air. A bit of a weird timing on that Nano because the bridge was in the way, but gets the one kill already on the Train Cloud.
Nice sleep from Cupcake!
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bit of a combo there. He actually tried to get the deflect off, but Gem was there with the shield bash as well to provide that window for Cupcake to land a nice sleep. Good synergy from the support duo there for the side of Our Zero, as they still have been doing relatively well against the higher seeded team here. Really, this is an interesting matchup because the one thing that is really so specific about Gibraltar is it's one of the few maps right now in the current heavy shield meta where we can still see the strength of Widowmaker. As I'm saying this, though, the payload's being pushed desperately close to the end. They need to make a stop happen here. We're watching Train Cloud. He's got the deep bomb as the blade comes out from Viral. He's trying to make a connection happen. He's going to get one onto Alexio. He deflected the sleep and made him sleep himself, actually. Alexio's not going to be too happy to have that get into the game footage there, as they will take the second point.
Yeah, nice. They kind of snuck the payload very far forward, and by the time that Purple caught on or was able to get back on it, it was just already too late. They weren't in a position. Viral pulls out the blade, gets Alexio there, and then if Alexio is down, that's a lot of resources gone on your type of team, especially with no sleep dart, no grenade to really work with. Zeus is going to be in an interesting position. Has the Infrasight, Sonoid doesn't have it. which I think they were sort of hoping for. And they've been disconnecting their infra sites a lot. You often see these Widowmakers do that thing where the one uses the infra site and the other does as well, and then they cannot quite really duel. They just have to both respect each other's space. Not really happening in this game.
Yeah, the countering for sights is often a common strategy. We see the Nano Blade on the HK here as he looks to try and deflect the Sleep Dart. Doesn't quite connect, but he is able to find the slash onto Cupcake as she will fall. Doesn't look like he's able to find much more than that. It's a great peel job from the backline there of Hour Zero. While this isn't happening, though, Greg, he tries to make his way onto the point. Ends up committing the Diva Bomb. Interesting commit. It doesn't able to catch anyone out right now as the payload has halted for the time being. We're watching Hour Zero, the remaining stragglers, forced to regroup here. Back towards spawn, as now we're watching, look, the dive defense from Purple. They've already set up on the high ground. They're going to be able to do this pincer attack from both sides. It's going to be very difficult for the side of Hour Zero to fight into this.
Early sleep dart already used from Alexio, so that they know that's going to be a fairly easy job to dive the Ana. Only a Brigitte really to worry about in that case. But they also need to not leave their own backline, because you do see that Garms just straight away walks onto that Ana and that Brigitte, just wants them. Has the Primal Rage, gets slept though. Beautifully done. And now, are you going to be able to keep healing with this Winston? The Nano Blade goes in.
Yeah, Viral with the Nano Blade. He's already found one onto Garms. He's looking for another. Is able to connect onto Zeus. Make that two. It's the battle with Alexio again. This is redemption arc possibly, but just as I say, that Bacon is there with the big slam. It is going to take out the support line for the side of Purple. Over a minute in the clock, almost two now. And if they're able to connect, this would be a great time back to work with. Deep Bomb is in the air. It's going to be a nice block up by Garms. Nice swap onto the Reinhardt. It was good read. He knew he was up against, but they're able to somehow push the point through despite a great anti-nade at the tail end for Alexio. Nobody was on the point.
Definitely a great play there. And if we're going to look across the board, you know, we could definitely say that Genji's back in the meta with this. You know, they did it. He does a lot of damage naturally already because the shuriken damage got increased, the spread got decreased. You know, everything is just better. 2-second deflect. You know, there were a lot of crazy buffs, and I think Genji sort of needed the boost to really come back into the meta. Might have been too much. That's not for us to say. All we know is that they've both been playing him. And when I look at the value of the Dragon Blades, is that I do think that Viral is getting more consistent value that's more like fight winning. Because often what you say, a Nano Blade is just like a free fight. You just win that fight, period. It used to be that way. Then there were all these denies coming back into the game, and it was very hard to get that value. But now with no Baptiste, it actually should be relatively okay to do. There was one sleep dart that came out on H-Key, but other than that, I don't think the Anas got anything done. Every time Nano Blade came out, they were just dead, period. Nothing else happened. But H-Key never really got a lot of follow-up after they killed the Ana. They never really got that, like a triple or double kill a lot of the time, whereas Viral was more consistently getting multi-kills, or at least making sure the follow-up on their blade damage was there to make sure multiple enemies died. And if that doesn't change, if that maybe just has something to do with, you know, might have something to do with the attacker pace on Gibraltar, which can be a thing. But if that doesn't change, so if Purple is not able to do the same thing here on their attack with the Nano Blade if they're running it, then it looks very good for Hour Zero, because they did complete the map with an hour 30 left.
Yeah, we saw a little Sonic Arrow swap there. A nice little tech, always available to you if you want to get a little bit of a read. If you think someone's playing close, you can make the swap happen. We talked about the Genji buffs. You know, he's usually been an ultimate bot, but now he's a lot more viable in his neutral state, so his viability has increased tenfold here. So watching with Viral, is he going to be taken out, though, by Alexio? It's a nice finishing blow by him. And really, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be all about these Nano Blades, because it's so hard to counter them right now without support Ray can offer onto an ult and Genji. We see the engagement happening towards the server room stairs now, as Garms is going to be brought very low, eventually will fall to the hand. Now both Winstons are out of this fight, as Zeus is going to be able to get the DMAC over. This fight is going to go very cleanly for the side of Purple, as they're making the payload still continue to go on. HK finds another pick.
Yeah, they're just going to clean up now, and there's going to be Stranglers coming back in here. Beckenbauer actually gets nanoed here, can jump into the backline, go on the Ana and the Genji. They're going to be able to get away. I don't think they got the sleep on him. So that means Beckenbauer is just going to clean up with 3 or 4 kills here, get some help from Sinoid, but that's just a fight that's completely turned here. They were ready to just push that payload in, and Hour Zero's just said no.
Yeah, a huge nano onto Bacon and a nice primal rage as well to get those final blows. Now it's going to be all on the side of Hour Zero if they're able to hold. This is a great place to hold. They have control of the high ground, and they have everyone set up in the position that they need to. The support line is set up currently in the server room, so a little bit of vulnerability, but of course, having the Brigida and the Soldier there to provide extra support and healing for their Ana player, that's going to be where they're diving here to see the Nano Blade invested as well as they all try and dump onto the Ana player. Deep Bomb expended as HG does find one. Alexio will eventually fall to Viral and turn, but the picks are going the way of the attackers, it seems, but Bacon Bauer has brought the force back. Diva Mech now gone for Greg as he's forced out in the server room. This whole fight happening here while the payload is reversing, and it looks like the side of Purple will be able to get the final blows. Garms, very, very low, hopefully brought out alive. That's going to be a lot of ult charge for his healers as he narrowly escapes. But there's still one more fight in this because Hour Zero did such a great job at keeping the payload from moving during that last fight. Here's the rally engagement.
There's the Nano Blade, at least the Blade coming out. The Nano couldn't actually be connecting because they kept the Ana
That
locked.
sleep from Alexio!
Wow.
It's a little bit of a vengeance play there. He slept himself the previous time, and he needed to redeem himself for everybody at home cheering him on. He's definitely a powerhouse on the on. I'm so excited that he is able to play his signature role here, trying to keep everyone alive as the Nano Boost does go on to Train Cloud. The defense is not trying to hold out just yet, as we see Bacon on the point trying to make something happen here. They need to clean up these last few members if they want to create a stop. Pressure coming in now from the attackers. The respawns have come through, and Nano Blade will be coming back up again for Alexio and HK if they're able to hold on as the fight continues to evolve. Garms is forced to use his Primal on the point, trying to knock everyone down. It's good sleep, though, from Cupcake as the Deep Bomb is launched into the back. He is able to find Zeus, but with that, it's just Garms on the point now with the Primal is eventually forced off, and somehow Hour Zero has been able to come through. They open with a big rally. They're 70% on to another one. Jam, he's been an absolute monster on this Brigida as well. Both these support lines have been incredible. With that, 30 seconds remaining for the side of Purple to make something happen.
As Jesse McCree would say, we know what time it is. It's Nano Blade time, and there we go. Straight onto the Soldier in the back. Sinoid not able to run away from that one. They're probably going to get the Diva kill as well. That's a double. Meanwhile, their backline's being assaulted, but Viral not so lucky.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb is going to land onto Jam. Zeus has been really good on the Tracer. It's a nice thing that he swapped. He knew that's exactly what his team needed. And despite the Blade being very good from HK, you have to commend the tank line from the side of Hour Zero. As soon as the Nano Blade went in, both Bacon Bauer and Train Cloud were very quick to respond, trying to peel for their Ana player on the high ground and collapse, sacrificing their bodies and sense to try and make something happen. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be quite enough for them as the payload continues to move on. But we definitely have ourselves a series here. Both these teams bringing out all the stops.
Yeah, and now that they're in the shuttle area, of course, who's going to control that high ground? It looks like Bacon Bar is going to be forced away, but Sinoid and Train Cloud are still there. The shuttle is still contested and not decisively won by anybody. Payload is moving in a nice pace, though, and Beckenbauer does go down.
There's the Nano Boost invested onto Sinoid. Soldier on the high ground. It's going to be slept and mostly eaten up by Greg. Good job there by Alexio and Greg to deny that value. Long-range nade is going to connect onto Cupcake. It's going to force her out for right now as the payload continues to creep forward. Bodies need to get onto the point for the side of Hour Zero if they want to keep this contest happening. Garms, he's keeping the Soldier away in that room with a good Primal Rage to zone him out as everyone's trying to fight on this point. HK is going to be able to find two somewhere in the back. And with that, the payload will continue to move on. And really, HG has just definitely been making a name for himself in this series, bringing it the powerhouse on the Genji, of course, being supported by a great dive composition. And what I love to see is that Zeus, he gave up on the Widowmaker and he's on the Tracer. He's able to support his team so much more from this mobile position, and his Pulse Bomb sticks all series long have been connecting.
And I think a big problem as well what you're having now if you are Hour Zero is that you've completely disconnected Viral and Cupcake in their ultimate charge. Sinoid actually be nanoed in their tech fires, almost got it back, so Cupcake completely disconnected from their DPS when it comes to the nano charge, and there's a Nano Blade from the HG.
Yeah, he finds one. Cupcake doesn't quite connect on the sleep. That's going to give him two. While this is happening, Viral does take out Alexio, and Bacon has gotten the Primal to finish off that Nano Blade in turn. Vega is being brought into a corner here. Is going to pop out the rally in the desperation, and it's going to work. It's going to take out Viral in turn as well as this fight continues to go for the way of Purple. Somehow, it didn't look like they were going to have the edge, but they were able to recover with a nice rally. A minute and a half remaining. Same boat that the other team was in this same position. Are they going to be able to make the stops happen here? Bacon Bauer, he's on the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to bring that Wrecking Ball down with the limited burst damage and close range you have. Can be very mobile, just dodge everything, using the shields at the right time. Vega's trying, really trying to get as much damage on that ball as possible, but there is Sinoid on the high ground with attack fires. It will be completely countered out by Greg,
But
but
Zeus,
Greg
he's
get the
doing
kill.
so much in the back. He's already found
No!
two. Here's a Diva Bomb from Greg. A nice sleep onto Train Cloud. Greg's going to find two with a nice sleep being set up there by Alexio to shut down the Roadhog from using his vape. And with that, it's going to be relatively even, but somehow Hour Zero, despite being the lower seeded team, and judging by that first map, you wouldn't think they've had the edge. They do have the time edge here. So, like I
Wow,
said,
8 seconds.
these
Yes.
non-fundamental maps, so many different things can happen once it becomes the attack versus the defense.
Yeah, and I really wonder, so what the thought process was behind going with this Genji Soldier lineup, because whereas Soldier's a really good pick, and if against, or it can be a really good pick, and where against the uh, against a non-double barrier composition, you can get a lot of value because he just has very long sight, like he still has long sight lines, still a hit scan, still could just do a lot of burst and poke damage at the same time, good mobility, but it's not quite the same as a tracer that just gets on someone and just one clips them, because the tracer has a lot of an easier time getting in that position in the first place. And it might just be like a personal thing that they like playing the soldier more. They might have practiced this strategy specifically. But it does feel like Sinoid is lacking the finishing power that Zeus is bringing to the table sometimes. And whether it's with the Tracer or with the Widowmaker, you either one-shot them, or you at least have a lot more distraction going on by having a sort of multi-pronged attack, which Soldier is less able to provide. So we'll see if they're going to keep on going with this. It does look like they've set up with that Soldier once again, but I'm going to keep a close eye on that and see what the matchup shows us.
Yeah, a soldier can be really threatening as long as the enemy team is making the mistake of focusing him. He can always run away, reposition, and set up again to provide that constant stream of damage. But that's not where their focus has lied. They've known that they need to focus on Cupcake. She's been punished all the time by these solid dives from the side of Purple, and here it is again. H-Key will be taken out quick. It's a good defense matrix there to save his teammate from Zeus's aggressive Tracer play style, as we find Sinoid is in an awkward spot. He's been pushed all the way into the enemy spawn. Train Cloud does find one onto Veg. What this happens, eventually Sinoid predictably will fall in turn here, as the time bank does tick away for Purple. They've got 38 seconds to make something happen here. Payload is in a tricky spot to push underneath this bridge. This is not what a dive composition wants to be working with.
No, and Greg did a great job of denying Sinoid their value, has been doing so all game. But now they've got to do more than just deal with the soldier, and they don't have the boosters, so Sinoid's going to be free for a while. But so is Zeus. Zeus is just zapping around the backline, going on the supports, and they have to deal with that. Jam is trying, but will just fall to Greg.
Yeah, and he got punished there. It was a great dive. Greg, he's doing great stuff on the D, but we see he's going to try and get Zeus low. Eventually, will find the connect here, as this payload will eventually get rolling. It's just the Diva now on point. Train Cloud will eventually fall. He has the Diva Bomb. We're seeing the Nano Blades coming out. Alexo, he actually used his Nano in that previous fight, so they won't have the Nano Blade anytime soon. So it's going to be all on Viral when he does build it up, if this is going to be the game winning blade. But as this happens, Zeus will fall to Viral. That's not going to be a good start for the side of Purple. If they can't win right now, if they get off the payload, this is where they're going to have to stop, and it's so hard to push into this event. Here's the Nano Blade coming onto Viral. He's able to find Alexio. That's good. Defensive Bomb comes out. Isn't going to connect right now, as the Primal Rage is doing everything they can to zone him into the corner. Great stuff by Garms. He's able to deny most of that blade, as Sinoid finds the final blow with Attack Visor here. Respawns coming through. Here's the Deep Bomb coming in from Greg, hoping to find some value. He's going to connect right now, but the Pulse Bomb from Zeus is good onto Jam. That's going to take out lots of the healing here, as they're both dancing around inside the bubble. The healing is going to be denied from Alexio until it breaks. Overtime ticking down, and with this, Zeus somehow gets on the point in the final seconds here. It's desperation time for Purple, but that's going to be it. It's an awkward spot, but they were able to get the first objective, so that's got to be what Purple works with. This is so doable for the side of Hour Zero.
Yeah, we're almost at a spot where you could potentially see a draw, but unfortunately the payload did move a tiny little bit, so the theory will probably not come into practice. It's almost impossible to get that going at this point. So we will see a decisive win on this map from either of these teams, and whether it will be Purple or Hour Zero, still very much up in the air, because on the attack, Hour Zero did something very different than what Purple did on their attack. Actually, no, they did something very different than they did on their own defense. So I don't think that we would be seeing more of this soldier, but apparently we will. We did see that the first point was capped just without any real challenge, I think, last time by Hour Zero. So
One thing I'd like
if
to point out, class, is that
yeah,
what the time advantage slightly went for the way of Hour Zero, but
for
from
sure.
my observation, the reason they had that time advantage was because of how well Hour Zero defended Point A. That's where they burned off a lot of the time into Purple's attack, and that's the strength that we just saw now in that defense. But when it came to their own attack on their first run, they didn't really have the best suiting of it. They struggled a lot. Remember, there was a long fight on that one high ground by the blue tarp, and they really don't have that kind of time. So they need to make sure that they win these fights cleanly.
Yeah, and clean fights is always what you want to see. And in dive, it can sometimes get a little bit, well, chaotic, as we've been seeing so far in this series. And yeah, they're gonna go with the same thing they did in the last attack: Xenoid onto the Widowmaker, Viral still on the Genji. And I like it. I really think that they can do a lot with this. They just have to be careful that Zeus doesn't just jump on their backline and clip someone down.
Yeah, this is the stalemate, the calm before the storm. Now we saw Sonoida use an emote so he could look around the edge. It's a tech that you can use at any time. We see the dive. Viral is going to be the first one to find a pick onto Garms. Interesting that he will be the first to fall. Greg realizes this fight is a loss and is going to try not to sacrifice any more ult charge as he goes off the map. This is a great start, but the payload has been moving this entire time for the side of Hour Zero here as they're about to round the second to last turn here. Bacon, full health, looking to capitalize and punish H-Key's over aggressive positioning here. Is going to be able to slip away back to his team now as the Nano Blade is coming out. If they're able to build this, this is probably going to spell life or death for them. 80% now for the side of the Genji player as the fight is going to be breaking out to the point. You see the Winston, he's going to dive into the back heel now for Bacon as he tries to bring the fight off of the payload and defend his back line. Alexio, we're watching with him now as he's very close to the Nano Boost. Who's he going to try and invest it on as Greg is going to fall low, is able to clean him up, and we're probably going to see the Nano Blade coming out now. 12 seconds remaining here. Here it is as we watch H-Key break the fight into the server room. Gets a nice double. Will it be a triple? He's able to find Cupcake. That makes 3. Overtime ticking down now. And just like the big, huge server game play from Agilities we saw way back in Overwatch's birth, H-Key has been able to save the day with a Nano Blade in the server room again, repeating Overwatch history. And with that, Purple will go up 2-0 in this series.
And kind of that all started of the back of Viral actually overextending a little bit too far. Tries to go into that top right corner, get the Ana, gets anti-nated, and then HK takes them out. So instead of Viral and their team being able to take a more aggressive position, they have to back off a little to wait for their Genji. And that's when Purple just capitalizes, takes that advantage, has the Nano Blade built up sooner, and then they just completely clean everything up. And that's without Zeus, because Zeus actually fell to Sinoid in the meantime. So yeah, 2-0 for Purple. I'd say well deserved. They definitely capitalize on mistakes and find the openings where they need to. But Hour Zero is coming closer and closer to a potential win. So I'm very much looking forward to see if when we go to our third map, whether they can do something to bring this back to a 2-1 and maybe even reverse sweep this thing.
Yeah, just watching from what I can see now, Hour Zero, where their strength really lies, is when they're able to control the momentum of the game. They like being on
Yeah.
defense, they're best on defense, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that when you're on the defense, they have a lot of time to reset their positioning, think, okay, this is how we're going to take this fight, we're in control now. But the offense requires a little bit more tenacity. When you're the ones pushing the payload, your positioning, of course, is compromised because you need to commit at least one person to getting the payload rolling, and you basically are at a little bit of a disadvantage as someone on offense. That's why the payload heals you to try and compensate for that in turn. But if they aren't able to get a full lockout on their defense, they're really struggling on the offense, especially into, of course, the overwhelming strength that HK and Alexio provide with that Nanoblade combo, despite how good the support line has been from Cupcake and Jam to try and defend themselves from it. Of course, it's just an ultimate combo that is very hard to go against right now. But I think in these next matchups, we could see a lot of strength from Hour Zero if we go to 2CP. I think 2CP is a map type that people who are really good at defense love to see because, of course, when it comes to 2CP, you make one mistake on point A, you've lost point A. If you're a defender, and if you make one mistake on point B as an attacker, you're not going to cap. So that's the maps that more so benefit these teams that keep these level heads and are good at delaying out the fight, stretching it out, a little bit more slow pace than when you do with the payload style. It's also a lot harder to run dive on these 2CP centric maps. So if I'm an Hour Zero fan, I'm probably thinking that they want to take it to 2CP. Whereas if I'm on the side of Purple, I want to be playing more of these payload styled maps.
Yeah, and of course, King's Row is going to be the next one. The map that everybody knows, the map that Dive is probably not going to play a huge role on, except maybe on third you can play some divey heroes every now and then there. So yeah, I'm expecting double barrier and maybe some Ash, maybe some Echo. It's been fairly popular here, and our Zero and Purple is going to completely turn it around because they're going to play stuff that we haven't really seen them play so far. It's going to be a new era of this series, really, and I like it. Like that we see a lot of flexibility coming out. That it's a very different map that we're going into. Um, I'm not saying I would be worried for Hour Zero though. They actually looked quite well when it was a more brawly double shield based composition against Purple. That's probably the closest we've seen them look, aside from Gibraltar. Maybe, I mean, it was close, but in the end they did still lose. Um, so yeah, it's possible that they can set up a good defense here. Although defense on point A on King's Row is just hard. It's a hard thing to do because you don't see a lot of full holes unless the team is just outspokenly playing better than the other team, which is not necessarily the case tonight. So I'm expecting both these teams to get past point A and point B, and actually, it's probably going to be the third point that decides it, which is usually the case in Kings Row, because if you get held anywhere, it will be there.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to this defense. We're actually going to see Purple. They are the first to defend. So if our Zero's strength is in the defense when the tables do turn, they want to be trying to do their best to keep the fight on point A as long as possible. We see Alexio. He's on the Zenyatta. It's going to provide so much extra damage, and they're playing around the Baptiste Zen for both sides. That makes a lot of sense when you're working with the Orisa. Everyone's going to be naturally grouped up, so the Immortality field is going to have more effect just naturally based on the way these heroes want to play. And of course, the Zenyatta is going to provide that extra bit of shield break and the Discord as well. So it's all going to be up to these Echo players and if they're going to be able to rein in the damage as well and create these stops from happening. Of course, the Dynamite is going to play a big role from both these Ashe players as well. But Double Shield, it's a completely new game, so we could see the power shift in either direction like you had been saying.
Yep. Sigma on actually the high ground as well. We see this split defense come out. I've seen this go well. I've seen this go poorly. Let's see which one it is this time around. They do seem to have control over their retreat. They're not really being pushed as hard as we've seen happen some other times. So it looks like they're going to be able to actually use this crossfire to their advantage.
Yeah, Double Shield traditionally is better on defense, but when I say that jam, you built up the Ant Matrix so early. Unfortunately, the positioning isn't going to be too helpful to them just because they need to be able to push up more with it. First, Toa is going to be on the point A from Bacon Bauer. This is going to force the hand of Purple. They're going to have to look to contest now, but while I say that, HK has taken the pick onto his opposition Echo player, and Alexio finds one on a train con with that. The defense should be fine. A tick wasn't granted, and it looks like this two-pronged defense style with Greg staying on the high ground just to provide the shield there for Zeus has been very effective.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. Almost every team tries to run it that way, where you have the at least a Sigma on the high ground, but what they put with it is often a bit different. You often see like just to be Baptiste be back there, but then the Orisa feels very vulnerable on her own with either a Zenyatta or an Ana or whatever they're running at that point. And I really like having this Ashe there. It's just a very high burst combination. They can both combine for essentially a squishy kill every single time.
Yeah, you're not going to be getting a lot of value out of Kinetic Grasp, but Sigma in his essence isn't the best at close range, so this position is almost more suitable for his kit, especially considering that he has a lot of range to work with as well. There's a halt as well to bring everyone down. It's going to be very difficult for not just this team, but any team to be attacking with this double shield composition. You usually see people try and force a Rhine Sigma when they're on the offense, or maybe even throw a Wrecking Ball in there because of just how difficult it is to take space as Orisa. That being said, though, here's the duplicate. It's going to be Orisa via Orisa now as Bacon Bauer is going to be brought down very low. Immortality field is going to be forced out, and it's a good one from Jam. It's going to keep this team alive for the right now. Here's the duplicate supercharger coming out as all the Destructibles are going down. Now we're watching the Gravitic Flux in the back line. Train Cloud is going to fall to the enemy. Gravitic Flux from Greg. There it is. We're watching here with Greg as he finds two, looking for the third now onto Cupcake as she will fall to the hand of Vega. With that, a minute 37 remaining, and Purple has dug their heels in the sand. They are not giving up any progress here.
No, and Greg has just been styling on their counterparts all night long. There's that rock combination with the Gravitic Flux and then just finishing it off, just dunking on the Baptiste afterwards as well. It's exactly what you want to see if you're Sigma from the high ground, and Greg is playing this position so well. Consistently see Train Clown and Sinnoh trying to get up there together. There's Ashe Sigma versus Ashe Sigma, but then HK helps them out. They pre-spam Train Cloud's resources, meaning that there's always this advantage from Greg and Zeus.
Yeah, you saw a nice little halt accretion combo there. I think it forced actually the fortify there from Garms. It's going to be a big one. And Hour Zero, they finally connected that, hey, they need to take this Ashe and the Sigma off the high ground. They're going to go for a long-winded rotation to force them down, but it should be worth it if they're able to connect with Garms. He does find the first pig. It's actually onto the Bob, though. Here's the Duke get onto Viral. If he's able to build up this flux, it could make the difference here as the Transcendence is coming out from both sides. Cupcake and Alexio have built it up. Here's the Gravitic Flux is just onto Bob. Perhaps not the best investment here. But the fight isn't happening on the point despite all the picks going the way of Hour Zero. They need to be able to make that rotation happen, and with these last few picks coming in, they are doing well. There's a nice final blow, and we saw that because they rotated onto the high ground, it allowed Sonoid here to set up in an optimal position to rain down havoc from the high ground. And sometimes in these map styles, it's just about whose Ashe is in a better position to do work.
I think this was the first time, though, where they sent Viral to actually help out to get that high ground cleared, to get that high ground controlled, and it finally forced them off. They did need the ultimates to do so, but you're not going to be unhappy if you use full ultimates because you actually got the first checkpoint. And if we look at the ultimate situation, you're still in a decent position. You're not that far behind. Sure, there's a bit more coming up here from HK and Greg, but you have the amplification matrix, which can